Welcome back to the channel. Today we are doing a breakdown of the Hogwarts Legacy Sebastian Sallow's Dark Legacy trailer that was shown off to us during Gamescom 2022. Even though we only received less than 2 minutes worth of trailer footage, there were still plenty of hidden details we explore in this video. As always, if you enjoyed the Hogwarts Legacy content, feel free to like the video and smash the subscribe button if you haven't done so already, as we'll be covering more breakdowns like this in the future. With that out of the way, let's get into it.
The more we know about Salazar Slytherin and the dark arts, the better prepared we'll be.
In this first scene, we see what looks to be the Forbidden Forest with a many multitude of signs telling us to keep out. And us as the playable character appear to be entering what seems to be a dungeon along the side of this forest. And some of these symbols on this rock we see similar to what was shown off in the previous trailers as well. And as our characters entering this dungeon, we only have the light from Lumos guiding us in.
If either of you uses dark magic, I will notify the headmaster immediately.
In this next part, we see not only are we entering the dungeon, but we are not entering it alone. And we see this other character that accompanies us. And what's interesting is this character does not appear to be Sebastian Sallow, but another Slytherin, it seems. One little tidbit that I noticed is that this player does not lose eye contact or stop pointing their wand at us, the playable character, throughout this shot. And therefore, that makes me think a little bit of forcefulness is pushing our character into this dungeon by this character and possibly Sebastian. Could just be the fact that they're looking at us to keep us safe. That could be also an option, but my theory goes to the fact that this character is forcing us down this dungeon. We got fake Hagrid over here telling us not to go do some Cruciatus curses. And again, we have our character entering the dungeon and accompanied by this extra Slytherin character who isn't pointing their wand at us anymore, but is still keeping eye contact on us as we walk through.
Unforgivable curses are so named for a reason.
A spell that could save your life shouldn't be unforgivable.
The dark arts seem harmless until it's too late.
In this next scene, we have the fake Hagrid character telling us about the unforgivable curses and why they're named so, next to this Salazar Slytherin looking statue with the snakes accompanying it that are moving, as you can tell. And then we get our first look at this dark arts book that has a skull on it, and upon further inspection, looking closer, it has this symbol on the skull forehead, and a lot of people were thinking this might be the Deathly Hallows symbol, but to me this does seem like just a triangle, and the circle is that it is raised. So another person commented on this saying it could possibly be a button. Something that might be interesting would be you put your thumb on it and it takes your blood from you to unlock it. It's a dark book, could have some dark elements to it to opening it. Then we go into the forest a little bit further and we see what looks to be this massive creature's skeleton that is just being degraded over time, and some thestrals nearby that are taking in some daily drink. This might be their local drinking spot. And then we got some birds feasting on some other bits around the skeleton of this. With the horn here on the side of its head appears to be a dragon skeleton. And as we carry on to this next one of bewaring spiders, extreme danger, our character entering doesn't really care, sees the sign, says, meh, doesn't bother me, as a spider crosses our path in the foreground of the shot. Then we get the most spookiest bit about this trailer, is that these spiders are gathering around this wrapped soul, this poor wrapped soul that definitely is still alive, as we can see squirming in this next shot.
None of us will be able to avoid dark magic forever.
What do we do now?
It's up to us.
This next scene shows us maybe the cave to the entrance for the spiders, as we can see by all the webbing and something else being held up by the web strand itself. Then we appear to be entering the dungeon similar to what was shown off in the beginning of the trailer. This time we have what appears to be that same character possibly, or Sebastian. It's tough to tell with the shadows, and our character walking frightened at all into this dungeon entrance with these snakes aligning the walls as well as spider webs going everywhere, indicating its age and level of degree for the amount of people that come down here regularly. And once we get to the end of this hallway, we finally see this door that is saying Crucio on the floor. We are here with 3 people. 1, 2, but then you also have to check down below on the bottom left here. There's a 3rd person that appears to be the same person that was pointing their wand at us entering this cave or dungeon, whatever. And this person up front, most likely, will be Sebastian Sallow.
I can teach you Crucio, or I can cast it on you. I'm ready. Crucio!
Here in this scene, he's telling us that he can teach us Crucio. That will make, I know there's no morality system into the game that they've indicated and told us already, but this is just a inner morality decision to your own self playing the game. Do you cast Crucio on Sebastian, or do you let him cast it on you? And here we have the indicator that shows us the decision change in the scene that will happen depending on if we let him or versus if we do it to him. One thing we do note here is the Crucio spell is going to be red, electric, sort of lightning strikes coming out of the wand. And I just love the fact that these reflections in our eyes just embrace the inner evilness that is occurring when casting this spell.
You've made your choice.
After that, we see the red lightning from the Crucio curse going into the door. And something that's interesting about that fact is we see it, what looks to be cast, and we know that it has to be cast on one of the other, one on Sebastian or one on ourselves. But why is there then lightning going into this door? I'm wondering if maybe you just have to make that decision, but then as soon as you cast that curse, it automatically fires towards who you're casting, but then rebounds into this door because you showed you were willing to Crucio them. And after casting the Crucio curse, no matter what happens, it seems to be that that's the unlocking feature to it. Then we see Sebastian in the room that was contained by that door with a ritual book in behind him, as well as some of those candles again that we saw previously in the beginning of the trailer. During this part of the scene, we hear "You've made your choice" by what sounds like someone who's in a lot of pain. This may be our character, since in this trailer, our character is a female Hufflepuff, but my best guess is that this is the sister of Sebastian that we are trying to save. And because she's making this sort of painful voice, she's the one being affected by whatever ritual is going on right now in the cave with our character and Sebastian and the 3rd person as well. Then we see a bunch of Inferi being brought up from the ground and attacking us. And it seems to be that we are trying to fend off them as they are proceeding towards us. Maybe this could be we have to defend Sebastian as he's completing the ritual to whatever we're doing within this cave. And we have a time limit or an amount of Inferi that we needed to fend off before he completes the ritual. Here we can see the spells that our character are using. I would say this might be an Incendio that we're using against them, since we do know that Incendio seemed to work in the 6th movie of Harry Potter. So I'm assuming we would be probably seeing a super effective type damage bonus when we use specific spells on specific enemies. This next scene appears to have what looks to be a masked wizard with robes and a top hat, kind of similar to what we saw with that one villain talking to the goblin in the State of Play trailer. But this appears to be outside of the cave. Now, this could be before we enter it, someone guarding it, and we just have to get past them. Or this could be after the fact, after we've done the ritual of sorts. We have to fight off maybe a bunch of these characters, and this is just one instance of one, because as we can see here, Portkey To protect from that spell, he's a little bit stunned, by the way, Protego causing him to be what appears to be stunned afterwards, taken aback almost, and then we cast a spell to get our revenge on him. Then we see Sebastian casting what appears to be Incendio with a pretty powerful effect once it hits that inferi, by the way, to incinerate them completely.
What have the two of you done?
Then we have this next bit here of this door could be for a second quest in this scene because it is not similar to the one that we saw with the Crucio Curse. And we do notice that the lighting is different as well as these snakes around it and such. We can also see on the right side there that third person that is entering the dungeon with us. And it appears upon more closer inspection that he has the Slytherin clothing on him. We then are greeted what appears to be after that door opening with this skeletal of a staircase that leads up to this chamber that appears our character has entered. And on the left and right sides, we can see doors that are much wider and stone-like compared to that snake-like door that we saw in the previous scene. We then see that this room is full of webs, full of things hanging from the ceiling by the webs. Our characters lighting their way with lumos, but there are torches now lit in this room. What looks to be shelving on the walls that could possibly be tombs. We then see this inferi in this next scene next to a bunch of these symbols on the wall, and what looks to be a figure, statue, next on the left of them that is holding something that appears to be a disc of some sorts with symbols on it. Then we are shown this big boy, Troll Boy, and he has a big club. And whatever he just knocked down definitely took a beating and is about to take an even more beating. And we can see by the red eyes on this troll that it could be controlled by that dark magic, it seems, that we've seen in the trailers that are controlling some of these creatures in the area. And one thing, if we stop here, that is a massive burst of light coming from that explosion of a hit from his club. So something about this troll could mean that it's magical or it's hitting something that has the ability to cast the light. But upon further inspection, we can see that this troll, I just love the fact that this troll is covered in grassy moss, vines, a couple mushrooms there. Then we have Mr. Fake Hagrid here asking us, what have you two done? The fact that he says, what have you two done, means two things. This third character that we've been seeing throughout the entire thing has either ran off because of being frightened or sorts, or doesn't want to be included in this ritual anymore, or something happened to him. He wouldn't indicate two unless there was only the two present. The three done would have been more appropriate if that character was still with us at the time. Finally, we get the release of the pre-order information for the digital deluxe edition, where we, as we can see here, receive the Dark Arts pack, including a Thestral mount, Dark Arts cosmetics set shown on the right, the Dark Arts battle arena, and the Onyx Hippogriff mount, which is included in all pre-orders, as well as the Dark Arts garrison hat and 72 hours early access. And with that, that just about does it for the breakdown analysis on the video. Hope you guys like the content, and we'll be covering more of this going forward, so hit that subscribe button as always if you haven't already. And we'll see you guys in the next one.